folks, my name is Jen and I'm here today to do a book tag. So it's been a little bit since I've done one of these, so let's just get into it. This is called the Fandom Book Tag, and I found it on a blog called ZZ with Books, but I guess it was originally created by Pia at Fangirl Fashionista. So let's just get into this little tag. Or long tag. It actually is kind of a long tag. So the first tag thing is for Doctor Who. A book with a mostly blue cover. So Doctor Who is a fandom that I actually kind of am a part of. I really love Doctor Who. I haven't watched any of Classic Who, but I have watched the new series, so from, I think it was in 2005, so I've seen Eccleston, Tennant, who's my favorite, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi. I had admittedly did not finish watching Capaldi's run, and I haven't seen any crap, I forget what her name is, but she was the latest Doctor who was in there. 13, I'm so sorry, I don't remember what her name is, but I haven't finished Capaldi, and I haven't seen any of her seasons because, you know, Netflix didn't renew with BBC or something, and now you have to pay like an exorbitant amount of money just to watch Doctor Who, and I don't have the money to spend like crazy amounts just to watch one season of a show. I still have a special place in my heart for it. It is goofy and emotional and wonderful, and I'm staring at my TARDIS lights that I have hanging up on my desk right now. So like, the book with a mostly blue cover that I have picked for this is When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. This is a mystery thriller. Alright, the next thing is Marvel, a book with a mostly red cover. So Marvel is a fandom that I guess I'm kind of in, but not at the same time. I was very much into Spider-Man and like the Spider-Man movies when I was a teenager, because I was like in love with Tobey Maguire. So I'm kind of into that stuff. Into the Spider-Verse is honestly one of the best animated movies I've ever seen in my entire life. Everyone should watch it. Which I guess really enjoying Spider-Man is weird coming from me, someone who has arachnophobia. Yeah. But, and I also really love Captain America. I think Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the funniest frickin' movies I've ever seen, and I absolutely adore it. But that's pretty much where my enjoyment of Marvel ends. I've only seen like one of the Captain America movies, both Guardians of the Galaxy. I haven't seen any of the new Spider-Mans. Like, I've only seen Tobey Maguire's, like the original ones, and from the 2000s, and then Into the Spider-Verse. I haven't seen any of Andrew Garfield's. I haven't seen any of the Tom, whatever his name is. Holland. Yes, Holland. That boy. And yeah, I've only seen one Iron Man movie. I'm like very far behind in that entirely. Not because I don't want to see them, but at this point it's just incredibly overwhelming because there are so many movies, and I'm overwhelmed, guys. For the mostly read book, I grabbed a red book. This is the Sherlock Holmes Handbook, The Methods and Mysteries of the World's Greatest Detective, and this was actually written by Ransom Riggs, i.e., you know, the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children dude. Alright, next one is The Simpsons, a book with a yellow cover. So, The Simpsons, that is a fandom that I am not a part of at all. I actually was not allowed to watch The Simpsons growing up because my family thought it was disgusting and highly inappropriate for children. I also was not allowed to watch Friends or Beavis and Butthead and Ren and Stimpy, which I guess was made easier because a lot of those were not shows that I had access to. We had 3 channels growing up, so. But yeah, I was never allowed to watch The Simpsons, so I don't entirely get the appeal. The only thing I've ever seen is the Simpsons movie, and while I did think it was kind of funny, I don't have any desire to seek out the rest of the show at all. So my mostly yellow book that I picked is kind of mostly yellow. I mean, there's a lot of green, but I mean, I think it kind of looks more yellow on camera. Maybe when you get close up you can see the green. It's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. I love this book. It's one of my favorite mystery thrillers. The next one is Supernatural, a book where the main character comes back to life. So for Supernatural, admittedly I have only watched I think not even the full first season, to be honest. I think I've only watched part of the first season. I just kind of lost interest. Like, I liked it, but at the same time I was just kind of like not fully invested in everything really, so I just didn't continue on. So yeah, which is weird I guess if you think about it, considering I'm into like everything that is involved in the show. But I don't know, I'm weird. A book where the main character comes back to life. Well, we're going to talk about Sherlock Holmes. This is not a spoiler for anyone, I know, because, excuse me, this series has been out, like, before any of us were born, and also the show was really freaking popular, so, Sherlock doesn't technically come back to life, like, literally. He is seen going over the falls with his mortal enemy, and then somehow had survived and comes back into Watson's life. It's been a while since I've read this. What is it, several years later? Or maybe it's not that long, I don't know. Anyway, so I know he technically doesn't come back to life, but it's kind of like he does because he was thought to be dead, and somehow had survived, so yeah. Alright, speaking of Sherlock, this one is Sherlock, a book featuring a psychopath slash sociopath. So, Sherlock, I have the entire, like, Sherlock book collection. I am, mostly a fan of it. I'm not into some of the mysteries, but I do really enjoy the majority of them. As far as the show goes, I have seen season 1. I have not seen anything else. I always mean to do like a rewatch, but I end up just watching the same couple of episodes again and again and just never continue on. So I don't know what my problem is. This is something that I deal with. I don't know if anyone else deals with this. I feel like I've talked with my sister about it and it sounds like it's pretty common. You're like really into a show, but it's almost like you have a lot of anxiety or fear about how it's going to end, so you just don't complete it. I don't know. That's where I'm at with a lot of things. As far as a book featuring a psychopath or sociopath, I feel like I probably have a lot of books with that, but we'll just say The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. Yeah, I feel like just the way the killer is in here and portrayed, I feel like he has to fit in one of those a little bit. Alright, then we have Once Upon a Time, a book inspired by fairy tales or is a retelling of fairy tales. So, Once Upon a Time is a fandom that I am not a part of and have never been a part of. I admittedly did try to watch the show, but I only got about 3 or 4 episodes in. and it just wasn't completely gelling with me, and it was still like, you know, in running, and at that point it was so far ahead. I think they'd introduced Hook, and I was kind of interested in him because, you know, he's like this bad boy, he's got eyeliner, a leather jacket, he's got the whole earring thing going on, is very much like what I was into when I was younger. I was like, ooh, I'm there. But by that point I'm seeing like the trailers of upcoming episodes coming out, and they're like, oh, now this thing's in here, and now this thing's in here, and it just seemed like everything that Disney touched, basically now this character was involved, and it just felt like instead of completely and entirely fitting in with this like 10th Kingdom type like setting, suddenly we're also pulling in other like characters that aren't in that and are just like, it just felt like it was pandering to the audience and it wasn't a cohesive story anymore. And I was like, you know what, I'm good. I'll keep my like 5 or 6 episodes that'll be in little thing, and I'm just, forget it. Sorry if you like that. I apologize, but that's just how I felt about it. As far as a book inspired by fairy tales or a retelling of them, I'm gonna go with Evercurse. This is by Corey Ann Haydu. This is like a very different take on princesses, basically, and like fairy tales. It's about these 5 princesses who have all been cursed. Alright, then we have Breaking Bad, a book revolving around drugs. Breaking Bad is a fandom that I have no plans on ever being a part of. I have not watched the show. I have no interest in the show. I will never watch it. It just doesn't appeal to me even remotely. I have heard so many things about it. The people are like, oh my god, it's so brilliantly written, it's so wonderful, and it's like, I don't want to watch people getting killed and just ruining their entire lives because of drugs. It doesn't, whether taking them, making them, selling them, whatever, it's just not even remotely something that interests me. So, no. I don't think I have any books that involve drugs. The only thing that I can think of that I have currently is The Client by John Grisham. It involves an 11-year-old boy and his younger brother. They're hanging out in the woods, smoking cigarettes when they shouldn't be, and they witness a murder. It's a mob hit. And since I know that mobs are quite regularly involved with drugs, or at least I think they used to be sometimes, again, mobs are not something that interests me a lot either, so I'm not 100% certain, but I guess we'll go with this as an example. Maybe this is the closest example I have to that. I don't know. Then we have Game of Thrones, and we'll talk about a book featuring dragons. So, Game of Thrones, another fandom that I have not gotten into and will never get into. I think I've watched 1 episode of this show, and there was some pretty intense, gory, disgusting murder and rape, and I was instantly like, no thank you. No interest. I have no interest in watching characters that I come to love be slaughtered really intensely on screen in front of me, and I don't like watching rape, so I know it's brilliant. I'm sorry, it's just not gonna happen. Also, I have no interest in reading the books either, because when the point of view has more it switches between more than like 3 characters, or maybe 4. I can't keep track anymore, and I have no interest. So I thought I had more books that have dragons in them. I guess not. I'm kind of disappointed in myself. I feel like I should have more. But the one that comes to mind on my shelf currently is, well, kind of Wondersmith, but more it's like, you know, the other bits of like the Nevermore series, because one of Morgan Crow's best friends is a dragon handler, and he's easily one of my favorite characters in the entire series. He is hilarious. I love him. And yeah, he is studying to be a dragon handler. That's what he wants to do, and love it. I guess I could have counted Harry Potter too. I also have Harry Potter up there, so that also counts as having dragons. Yeah. Next one is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., a book revolving around an agency or a secret government organization. So, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is also a fandom that I haven't been a part of. Not because I don't want to, but it's more that and I'm overwhelmed. I feel like if I wanted to watch that show, I would also need to be completely up to date on all of the Marvel movies, so I wouldn't be spoiled for anything. So I would like to, but I just can't, guys. It's just so much. For a book revolving around an agency or a secret government organization, I'm actually going to talk about Mari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. I have not read this book yet. The organization that is involved in here sounds like it is a secret government, like, agency, because it's called the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs, so I'm pretty sure that it's involved with the government, but there's always a chance that it's not, and they just have this official name anyway. But it's like a magical, it's a magical society that not a lot of people know exists, and Mari finds out about it and tries to, like, join it so she can figure out what's happened to her missing brother. Then we have Charmed, a book about sisters. So Charmed is another, like, show and fandom that I haven't really ever become a part of. I remember I had a couple of friends growing up who were super into it. It was like one of their favorite shows ever. So when I got to college, I did like locate the first season, and I watched like the first couple of episodes, but much like Buffy, I got scared. As far as the book about sisters goes, I have Sadie. This is by Courtney Summers. This is, I mean, everybody probably knows what this book is about by this time, but it's about Sadie. She practically raised her little sister Maddie. Unfortunately, her little sister was brutally murdered, and promptly after that, Sadie disappears. And this is from a podcast perspective of trying to find out what happened to Sadie and where did she went. It's like, next one is Grimm, a book that features a monster. So Grimm, I have never watched that. It's like a show, right? Yeah, I haven't ever watched it. I think I know what it's about. I think it's like about the Grimm brothers, or it's like related to them in some way. So I don't know. I forgot that existed. I might have to go actually look into that. Features a monster. I mean, we'll talk about Percy Jackson, or this one, The Heroes of Olympus. This series, actually, basically all of Riordan Verse, or whatever we're calling it, features a lot of monsters. They're all mythological and stuff like that. So, this one, there's like a mechanical dragon. I guess I could have talked about this for a dragon too. There's a metal dragon in here. Then we have The Walking Dead, a book about zombies. So for The Walking Dead, again, this is a show and a fandom that I have never been a part of and will never, and have no plans to ever, because zombies, next to spiders, are the most terrifying thing I can think of. I am not a fan. I have never been a fan. At this point in my life, the only acceptable zombie is a completely dead and dismembered one, minus Billy from Hocus Pocus. He is the only nice zombie, and he is the only zombie that I will accept in life. Don't want any of the others, no thank you, go kill it with fire. As such, I do not own any books about zombies. I will never own a book about a zombie. Ever. Unless there's like some out there that's like really damn good or something. Yeah, I can't. I don't think there's even any accidental zombies in any of my books. It freaks me the hell out. So no, I don't, no books at all about them. I can't even think of any, really, books. I guess Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which I haven't read because, again, I don't like zombies, and I also didn't like the idea of just suddenly throwing zombies into a book that I really like, so whatever. Then we have Star Trek, a book that features aliens or that takes place in space. Oh, I have a... So, Star Trek. Fun fact. Star Trek I'm interested in, but again, it's one of those where I feel a little overwhelmed because there's so much that you can watch. I've seen the movie, the first one with Chris Pine. I haven't seen any of the others. I did like it, but I tried watching the original show, but I really don't like William Shatner. I know that's like gonna piss a lot of people off, but I don't really like William Shatner. So, I mean, I think he's a fine person, but I think he's a terrible actor. So, I haven't, I tried, I got like a couple of episodes in and I was like, I just can't do this. So I haven't watched any of that. I have watched Next Generation, because I believe that was kind of on when I was very small. And I remember I wanted to watch it because it had LeVar Burton in it, and I was a major, and still am major, Reading Rainbow fan. So I desperately did want to watch it. Unfortunately, I think I was a little too young to be watching that show or any of the movies or anything at that time, because I am absolutely terrified of, I think they're called the Borg. Right? They're the guys with like the one eyes, like a red glowing thing. Oh, it gives me chills just thinking about it. That scared the ever-loving shit out of me when I was little. And I still haven't come back to watch that series because I'm afraid that I'm gonna freak out still when I watch it. But I think it's like a very interesting fandom, and Trekkies are like some of the nicest people ever. And I'm just, yeah, I'm interested, but again, kind of overwhelmed, and also I'm really scared of the Borg. I don't want to like freak out watching it again, even as a grown-ass adult. As far as a book featuring aliens or that takes place in space, I have a few with those, but I guess I'll mention my favorite, which is Stinker from Space. This is by Pamela F. Service. This is a book that I really loved when I was a little kid, and I still really love it. is about an alien who crash lands on Earth, and his race have the ability to project their consciousness into another living creature and kind of take it over when they are at the point of like death, basically. And that makes them kind of a parasite, and that's really horrifying the more you think about it as an adult, but as a kid I just kind of accepted it like that. And this guy, he basically projects his consciousness into a skunk. Shenanigans ensue. It's a very little book, but I loved it so much as a kid, and I read it a couple of years ago again, and I still really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. The Hunger Games, a book in which kids or teenagers are murdered or die. So The Hunger Games is a series that I also have not really been into. I am not someone who enjoys battle royale type things. I find them to be really upsetting, so I tend to avoid them. I also get my anxiety gets triggered by post-apocalyptic things a lot of the times, because sometimes they feel too probable to me. So yeah, I have not read that series. I did end up watching the first movie with some friends, but I had no interest to keep watching the rest of them at all. So yeah. Books in which kids or teenagers are murdered or died. I guess I have a couple of those, but I guess I don't want to grab them because they're like all the way up top and there's stuff in front of them. But the Harry Potter series, there are kids and teenagers and adults that are killed within that series, especially as the books kind of progress and get more serious. So yeah, that's that. Percy Jackson, a book based on ancient Greek myths. So, I have talked about this before, ad nauseum, I'm sure, but I absolutely adore the Percy Jackson series. I am a latecomer? No. Newcomer. I am still technically a newcomer to the fandom, I guess. It wasn't a part of my childhood or teenage years, really. I was very much still obsessed with Harry Potter at that point, so I didn't really end up branching off into that series at all. And when I got a little older, I just kind of figured maybe I was too old for it. That's silly. Read whatever age range you want. Hello. It's too short. But I ended up reading it, when was that? 2016, I think, and changed my life. Absolutely adore it. It's one of my favorite series of all time. I love Percy with like every fiber of my being. He is fucking hilarious, and I just love it. Love that series. So yeah, very much a fan of that. So, a book based on ancient Greek myths. The one I'll show is Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw. This is actually a play. This is the play that My Fair Lady, the musical, is based off of, which I also really love. This play is also really funny. This is very, very loosely based on the Greek myth Pygmalion, where an artist falls in love with his creation. And that's it for that book tag. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry if I talk shit about some like movie, TV, book series that you like. Yeah, it's just my opinion overall. Let me know if you are part of any of those fandoms, if you enjoy them, if you particularly hated fandom or whatever, or not really hate the fandom. I don't really, well, okay, there's a couple of fandoms that I'm kind of like, you guys are nuts, but, you know, like, if you hate a particular, like, show or book series or whatever, let me know. Or if you really love them. Let's have some positivity, I guess. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.